Last week, Steam's February Next Fest dropped a huge lineup of indie game demos, and we at So Many Games were all over it. From quirky experiments to upcoming hits, we couldn't try them all, but we did our best. And now, we're bringing you our top picks of games that you won't want to miss in the coming months. Ever since the first trailer dropped, curiosity has been circulating about this game and what it actually is. From the outset, it looks just like a skateboarding game, but instead of a skateboard, you control a train carriage and have to do wild tricks whilst riding the rails. And after playing the demo, that is a big component, but there's so much more to it. Set around the train carrier Emmy, you'll have to drift around corners, jump over obstacles, and at one point, ride on top of a giant Ferris wheel. It's fast, it's unpredictable, but it's so much fun, and the wonderfully vivid comic-style visuals, delightful narrative, and arcade-style music just bring everything together in what can only be described as a wonderful mashup of Tony Hawk's and Jet Set Radio, but with trains. GRIDbeat drew us in with its gorgeous neon aesthetics and moved to the beat of the music gameplay, but we weren't expecting such a full-on hacking experience that took us to hacking servers, finding data points and extracting emails, all while contending with firewalls, viruses, data breaches, defrag programs and format wipes. Moving to the beat of the music is essential, otherwise you will be destroyed and not only lose all your data, but also be thrown out of the system. Thankfully, the movement is super smooth, and the only problem we had was getting the timing right. With an upbeat, synthy soundtrack and some challenging sections, we really recommend giving this demo a go, and will certainly be there for the game's full release. Set during the Gallipoli landings during the First World War, this sombre first-person walking simulator feels like it's going to be a striking piece of historical fiction. You play as a young recruit from Newfoundland who's sent on a reconnaissance mission with his childhood friends. Moving through the maze-like trenches and ravaged landscape is scary and harrowing. It's a world made up of mud, dead bodies and barbed wire. Periodically illuminated by flares, the air punctuated by sporadic gunfire, you feel even just a little bit what it must have been like for these young men so far from home and in constant mortal danger. Inspired by real testimonies, the Caribou Trail has clearly been meticulously researched. There's so much attention to period detail, from the items you use to the uniforms and weaponry. This is a game about empathy and the harrowing brutality of war. It plays like a psychological horror game, all the scarier because this insane barbarity actually happened. Phonopolis is a story-driven puzzle game set in a hand-painted 3D world made of cardboard. In this short demo, you get a taste of Felix's mission to end their oppressive leader's influence on a dystopian city, which has been inspired by avant-garde art. The demo really showcases the imaginative approach to the puzzles, and we were taken aback by just how much fun they were. There were some fine examples in the demo, with one involving moving sections of a building. The gorgeous art design is also a highlight, perfectly evoking the dystopian feel. It's some of the most creative design we've ever seen, and we can't wait to experience the full thing. In this first-person adventure, you play as a visitor to a rather crummy fantasy theme park. The dungeon master and proprietor of the rather dilapidated attraction is an anthropomorphic crab, who desperately wants you to enjoy your experience. He is just one of a host of what promises to be a joyful cast of characters. In this demo you encounter two down-on-their-luck actors, one operating and voicing an animatronic barbarian, the other a fellow adventurer having a blast role-playing being bludgeoned by an orc. Spoiler alert, they continually slip in and out of character, and it's hilarious. The writing and voice acting are exquisitely silly and funny. In terms of gameplay, it seems like there'll be unusual tasks for you to complete in each room before moving on to the next one, but it seems like the stars of the show will be the room's occupants, and we're really excited to meet more of them. In Wanderburg, you weave a trail of devastation across a once beautiful countryside in a massive, trundling medieval fortress, battling other tank-like castles in all shapes and sizes. Everything has wheels in this chaotic fantasy world of mass destruction, Windmills and farmhouses flee when they see you coming, and fields of crops are laid waste in your wake as you plunder resources to fund upgrades for your careering citadel. Building up your castle is so much fun. Man your battlements, build up your defences and increase the speed and size of your vehicular monster. It plays like a cross between Vampire Survivors and a tower defence game. The dopamine hits come fast and often as the rousing medieval themed soundtrack gets your blood pumping. The castles take on a life of their own, and the pastoral landscapes are so gorgeous, it's almost a shame to decimate them. Almost. Made by the same developers as Vampire Survivors, Vampire Crawlers switches perspective to first person, as you walk around the same areas and fight the same enemies as in the original, but now you gather cards to battle everyone. You'd think that would bring the pace down from Vampire Survivors, but that's not the case here. You still collect gems to level up and get upgrades whenever you do. You are still looking for all the ways in which you can break the game and just demolish entire leagues of enemies with one strike, and you do so at a frenetic pace. It's just a blast to play and proves that the developers know perfectly how to create the most addicting gaming experiences. Have you ever wanted to work in a record store? Well, Waxheads lets you live out that fantasy, recommending records to customers, creating flyers, and just allowing yourself to get swallowed into the local music scene. The game offers a completely original lineup of bands and artists, all with their own histories and discographies, which are all really cool. And no one has more history within the business than your own employer, Morgan McIntyre, who used to be in one of the biggest bands in the world until she fell out with her bandmate and sister, although no one really knows what happened. With her sister back in town, there is sure to be more drama coming for Morgan and perhaps even the entire team at Repeater Records. The Witch's Bakery explores what would happen if witches were commonplace in the world, and one of them opens her own bakery in Paris. During the day, you manage the store, kneading the dough that your familiar bakes into all kinds of goodies and serving customers. At night time, you get to explore everything the city has to offer. While the store management part of this game alone would be enough to sell us on this one, there's another element in play. Your pastries can affect people's emotions. So, you set out to help people by baking what they need, creating a heartwarming story that's sure to pull on your heartstrings. In this story-driven bullet hell action adventure, you play as Fawkes, who awakens in the Abyss, a sprawling sci-fi space prison. From a first-person perspective, you explore this hostile environment, taking on tasks, battling the Scourge, and gradually uncovering Fawkes' own personal struggles. Built in Unreal Engine 5, the game puts a strong focus on the structure and unsettling inhabitants of the Abyss, something that's immediately clear in the demo. While mostly linear, it's packed with mystery, from its strange environments to the disturbing creatures and constructs you encounter along the way. The demo includes 2 playable sections, with the second being more emphasis on powers and movesets, alongside thoughtful accessibility options and clearly explained difficulty settings. It's an easy recommendation for anyone after a dark sci-fi action game with a creepy edge. We've seen many Zelda Game Boy style games come to the market over the years, with most bringing a new twist to the formula. But Echo Isle promises to bring an old school homage to Link's Awakening on your modern consoles without those twists. The lighthouse on the island is its main protection from the world's monsters, but when it suddenly stops working, it's up to you to find out why, and to keep the inhabitants safe from the swarming evil creatures. With games like this, we often find they miss the feeling of actually playing a new Zelda game, but this isn't the case with Echo Isle. This is all thanks to how the game perfectly captures the time period through sound effects, music, graphics, and overall presentation. The demo was only 15 minutes long, so it didn't take up too much of our time, but we enjoyed every second. Lost Host features a central concept that falls somewhere between Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Toy Story. You play as a remote control car whose owner, a young boy, has mysteriously disappeared. Naturally, you gain sentience and set out in search of them. You must find your way out of each area, picking up clues about the boy's disappearance along the way. The controls are responsive, easy to pick up, but harder to master. This is important as it soon becomes apparent that this is essentially an off-road driving simulator. Books leaning against furniture become perilous inclines, piles of fluffy towels turn into spongy, uneven surfaces, and tabletops transform into perilous plateaus. Everyday household objects become precarious obstacle course. Better watch out for that pesky robot vacuum cleaner which prowls about in the living room. That's a wrap on our favourite demos from NextFest. You can check out the full articles featuring even more demo reviews at somanygames.co.uk. Let us know which ones you're excited to try in the comments or on our Discord server. For exclusive content, consider supporting us on Patreon. And don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our future game deep dives. See you next time.